I wish I could keep this feeling. I wish I could keep this feeling. Come on.
What up, everybody? We promised you more guests. I feel like we kind of saved the best for last.
Damn right you did.
Yes, here in studio. Renee, thank you for joining us. I mean, the old man has been singing your praises for a long time. It's been a long time coming.
Probably shouldn't bang on the table like that during a podcast session. I apologize.
No,
I
you're
am more
good.
of a professional.
No, we're fine. It's
I would just also like to sing the praises of Andreas because we only got to really meet and hang out the one time that we met at the Coffee Bean over at Town Square.
Yep.
And we got set up. Did Emilio set up that conversation or Biggie? Maybe it was a group. It might have been all four of us.
Both. Okay. Yeah, Amelia says both.
Well, shout out to you guys because I love when people like set up friendships. And like, I think you guys would be friends, and you're like, hey, you guys are right.
Absolutely right.
You guys are right.
And the funny thing is like, I always get that, like, Renee's great. And you always think, well, maybe she's not.
How great is she? Yeah.
Yeah, like, come on, guys.
Well, that also is like kind of unfair because the bar's set and people are like, what does that mean?
Right. I don't
like
know.
how great are we talking? I mean, I've got to be nice all the times. I mean, I got to like bake gifts. I don't know.
Do you bake?
I'm working on it. So I cook a ton. That actually has an asterisk next to it right now because I feel like since having the baby, I've not been cooking that much and I've been like slacking.
Yeah, it's
I
fine.
know, but she's almost a year. The jig is up. Let's get on with it. But I really want to dabble more in the baking. And so actually for her first birthday, I'm thinking of like making a cake. I bought a cake too, but I want to like make a cake.
What kind of cake?
One of the ones you can just smash up.
Oh, okay.
The smash cake.
This guy is very particular about his cake.
Yes.
He's a cake snob. I've been at his house for like 5 birthdays.
Are you a baker?
Hell
no. He buys everything. He doesn't do any. Like
I do nothing. If we have my wife on this podcast, like
she would reiterate.
I'd be this big.
This man sets the table. That's all he does.
Good.
You get the table out. You make sure you have like the plastic forks, everything around.
Whatever.
Like he's that guy at the party.
That's good.
And
someone's got to do that job.
And I pick up the baby and change the diaper.
Do you clean up after the party though? Wow.
What?
Wow.
Look, I try, right? I'm the entertainer at the party.
Okay. So you need to take your little breather afterward?
Yeah.
His wife would disagree.
Got to regroup, hit the green room for a minute?
Yeah. And then I come back and there's like a disaster and then I'm too tired. But I try.
Oh my God. Listen,
try.
Can me and your wife start a podcast?
No, you cannot.
She'd be wildly entertaining.
Like he knows my wife. My wife is like, she's not on social media. She does.
Yeah.
She's
got better things to do.
Yeah, she's an attorney.
Yeah.
She's a real estate broker. She does all those things. But if you give her a mic,
it's on.
Her trash talking is impeccable.
Hell yeah.
Impeccable.
My kind of woman. I love a good sharp tongue.
Talking about cutting a promo? I was at their baby shower. Boy.
She cut a promo at the baby shower?
Oh, she buried him. it was guys versus girls, all the baby shower games.
Oh, I love it.
Buried him.
That's fantastic.
Incredible.
I love it.
So Renee, we've got you here finally, and I feel like it's so long overdue.
I know. It is long overdue. I mean, to be fair, I did duck out of town on you. Literally, like right after. I think we had like maybe just bought our house.
Yeah.
When I met you at the Coffee Bean, I'm like, I'm really glad that this is a budding relationship, but I'm leaving town now.
I was like, what did I do?
I know, but here we are.
No one likes living on that side of town.
We've circled all the way back. And for anybody that's listening to this podcast, Renee's been here, has held down her podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for having me here. I mean, this studio is beautiful.
Now, Renee, you're out here, you're doing shows, but I want to talk about like your post WWE life has been busy.
Dude, It is busy and it's great. I love it. I love being busy, but it really is like that finding that balance between what level of busy, what's important, what really needs to get done. I've realized I'm like the worst boss I've ever had because I like scheduling things and trying to book things properly while also like I do all of my things from home, except for this week while we're out here. But like I do everything from home. So it's like juggling my baby's nap schedule. My husband is on the road, at least one day a week. So it's trying to figure out how to make everything move and make the most sense. So it's a lot, but it's great. And, specifically when we're talking the sessions, like I love that show. I love doing that show. I think I'm just really nosy And I just love like really getting inside people's heads, I guess. So it makes that job really truly not feel like a job.
You know, it's interesting because like I was curious when you launched the World Series. I was like, what's this gonna be about?
Yeah.
And I never know what the episodes are about. And then I tune in and I was like, Dax episode. My
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah.
Is it where the conversation goes, or do you have in mind what you want to kind of pick at and see what happens?
It's kind of both. So the Dax one I knew, I mean, him and I had spoken a little bit ahead of time, knowing that we were going to do the podcast. Because when I wanted to have them on, I really wanted to have on Dax and Cash separately. We ended up doing the FTR episode of them together as well. But I think there's really something cool when, you have two guys like them who are, so paired together, have their tag team. They probably do all their interviews that way, that I really wanted to separate them and like really get into the nitty gritty. But knowing Dax had a lot of stuff that he wanted to talk about, and him and I had been having conversations just about life and all of those things that happened. So I kind of knew some of that stuff already. I wasn't sure how much of that we were going to get into. But when he said he wanted to get into it, I was like, okay, here we go. So that one I knew that we were going to head that direction. But when I had Cash on, I had no idea that we were going to get into the things that we got into. I didn't know that information.
Wow.
So that was one of those things where I was like, man, like, all right, I had this interview with Dax and it was great. And we got into some really heavy personal stuff. And those are the conversations that just like stick with me for so long afterwards. And as much as, those guys are such prime examples of this, of, you spend time on the road with people and you spend so much time over the years. How much time do you really have when you're on the road to have those conversations that now for me to have on, guys and girls that I've been friends with for such a long time, and now get this new perspective of like who they are as human beings. And really that's what the sessions is to me, is taking these wrestlers, actors, musicians, athletes, and just like getting that human element that I think is so relatable for so many people. And yeah, those are just the conversations that I love to have. But yeah, anyway, so when I had Cash on and I had notes that had nothing to do with the things that we got into, so I was not prepared for that. So that really was an example of like, I'm going where this conversation is going, and fuck my notes.
Yeah. For the record, I don't have notes for us today.
Right.
I just want to talk.
We never do.
Yeah.
Yeah. just gonna pull up
Aren't
on
those
you.
the best though, when you're like, we're just going to turn this on, we're going to go? Because sometimes you do get like, it depends on what it is. Like, I mean, I just sat down with AJ Mendez, and I knew, all right, cool, I'm going to do this. But I know there's lots of stuff
Right.
with her that I do want to get to. So I want to make sure that I did have some of those points of reference. But there's other times it's just like, yeah, let's just like knock this out and see what happens and talk. And those are the best episodes.
So, with that being said, one thing I want to ask you about is you're great in the sessions. That's a comfort zone for you, right?
Yeah.
You've recently stepped out of your comfort zone, branching out other forms of radio,
Yep.
Sirius XM,
Yep.
talk MMA now,
Yep.
talk other combat sports. What
Yeah.
has that been like to kind of learn to do you in a different environment?
Yeah.
And have to challenge yourself and then learn from a Misha Tate or share things, and then Misha has to talk pro wrestling. Like it's what is that like?
interesting. Like it is really cool. And listen, like, to step into like the MMA world, we're talking all combat sports, whether we're talking MMA, boxing, we'll get into some pro wrestling stuff. There's definitely like my line of questioning is always pretty similar, I would say. And that's really what it comes down to, is like, what are the questions that I want to ask somebody? Misha is the analyst. I'm not the analyst. So what can I ask her to help convey what we're trying to talk about with whatever fight? But I will say, we're now doing a 2-hour show. The stakes are not as high. It's not doing television. It's not having this like really condensed version of something where it's like everything has to be on and right and accurate. I feel like that's like a great way for me to dip my toe in that water and figure that out in a pretty like safe space. Though it's great too, because I mean, Misha will check me on things, our producers will check me on things, and vice versa to her for pro wrestling. So we all just kind of have each other's back and talking in those spaces. But, before I even got into pro wrestling, I had covered tons of different sports.
Yep.
So I'd covered hockey, football, basketball, golf, horse racing, like a little bit of everything. So it's not that like nerve-wracking thing of like, oh my God, I'm talking about this other sport. Please don't screw this up. Like every sport has their own, nuances and whatnot. And you learn that language and that dialogue and whatnot. But just a little learning curve.
How big of an MMA fan were you before? Because I've seen you and John at T-Mobile Arena for
Hell yeah.
UFC fights before.
Yes.
So, I mean, I know, again, he trains at gyms out here and everything. So I
Yeah.
know he's probably a fan. But how engaged were you?
So I've always been a UFC fan. Not that I'm like this diehard, I know every single stat kind of fan, but when I was covering talking some MMA, so actually, just to like fully rewind here a little bit, my first experience ever talking MMA was with Mauro Ranallo. So when he was in Canada, he was doing his MMA show, his MMA radio show. And he was kind enough to let me go in there and I would do like trivia segments on there. Or I would go in there and just kind of like dabble with him on the radio a little bit. And this was like, not to date myself, a long time ago.
Our friend Corey Erdman started in
Oh,
Canada
I
as well.
love
Yeah,
Corey Erdman
too,
so
yeah.
much. Sweet Corey. Yes, he knows. He knows the deal. So that was really like my first experience talking any MMA. And it was, in a pretty small capacity. But in terms of being an MMA fan, I mean, shit, you're from Canada and George St. Pierre happens to be like the biggest combat sports athlete in the world at the time. It makes it pretty easy to attach yourself to the sport. But then when UFC came to Canada for the first time, it was in Montreal. I got to go. It was amazing while also being a beautiful Montreal shit show. It was all of those great things. So no, I mean, I've been a fan for a long time. But now to be talking about it, and yeah, John and I, we watch all the UFC fights. I've always kind of been keeping a finger on the pulse of it all.
Do you ever go to John for notes about who's going to be on the show?
Oh God, yeah, all the time. Yeah, I do a lot. I do that with him with kind of everything. So John's like, I mean, not that this is like surprising to anybody, but like John's capacity for information is really astounding. When like I want to ask him, whether it's like a fighter or if I'm having on a wrestler or whatever, like if it's wrestling, it's somebody he has like a personal story with or something like that he can like always, recollect some kind of cool story with that person. But yeah, when we're talking, we'll be talking MMA and sometimes he just gets like so in the weeds. I'm like, dude, you are feeding me to the sharks right now because yes, I appreciate that you know all this stuff. But if I try and spew out what you just spewed at me, it's going to go to shit. So I have to like pick and choose those moments. I was like, listen, just give me like the bare bones version of what you just gave me. But he hits every single moment. And this happened, and this happened, and this round, and da-da-da. That I'm like, oh my God, do you want to come up? Because we're going to be on for 3 hours. I got an extra mic. Come do it.
Dude, I'm really curious because like you guys have your own respective careers. John's like obviously working a billion shows out, not just AEW.
Yeah.
You're doing a billion things, SiriusXM, Oral Session. You got the book. How much do you guys keep tab of what each other is doing?
Pretty often because we kind of have to. Me more so with him, I think. And I can't I will speak on his behalf here. But I think for him, when I say I've got to go do a thing, it's me going, you need to watch the baby for the next hour or so because I've got to go hit record on the mic upstairs. And if it's somebody that I'm like, hey, I'm popping on with so-and-so, blah, 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 get some notes on it. But I think for him, I'm either in the room there being mom, doing all those things, or I'm upstairs working. Where with me, it's more so keeping tabs on like, okay, so wait, you've got to go here for AEW and you're doing this GCW show, this thing with New Japan. So trying to like keep tabs on that while also being a person that talks about professional wrestling. I'm watching all of these things because there are times like I had finished watching Game 7 of one of the Stanley Cup Finals games, the Leafs game, I believe it was. And I finished it and I was like, okay, when's my husband on fighting? And everyone's like, he already did it. And I was like, oh shit, my bad. Missed it. So there are some times that it like slips between the cracks of like when he's actually on, can I catch this? But I usually watch most of the stuff he's doing just to keep a watchful eye on whatever the hell his crazy ass is doing.
You have a good relationship. Like my wife doesn't care about anything.
Oh, come on.
No, I mean, she does, but it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, she's like, I cannot keep up with all the shit you're doing.
It's a lot. It is a lot. And I'm sure John feels that way about me because I'm a little bit more chaotic than he is. He's a wrestler that wrestles. He does a bunch of different shows, but I do a bunch of different things. So yes, I have like my podcast, my radio show. I was doing a segment on NHL Network. I've got like I've got this Zoom meeting and this thing and this thing. And he's always like, I never know what you're doing. Like, honestly, some days I don't even fucking know what I'm doing. But yeah, I mean, we try to keep tabs on each other as much as we can, but it's also like a survival skill to have because we don't have somebody else to pass the baby off to. We don't have a nanny. Like, yes, we've got like family and stuff in town, but really for like 99% of the time, it's just the two of us. So if we don't know where the other person is, it's who knows what's going to happen.
All right.
Jesus, take the wheel.
So I hear a ton of stuff about the grueling WWE schedule.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to know, you guys spend more time together now in separate careers in separate places, or when you guys were both with WWE and on the road all the time?
Good question. That is a good question. You know what? I think it's actually pretty similar. Because so when we were on the road together, like we would come home together. Like I'll go back to like the original schedule, which was Monday, Raw is live. Tuesday, we would tape SmackDown. Then we would go home. And then by, I think, Friday, he was back out doing live events to do Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If that's accurate. I think
Friday,
that's what it
Saturday,
is.
Sunday, Monday, Tuesday.
And then
on
we'd
the
be
road.
yes. So he would be gone that Friday, but then I would see him that Sunday night.
Okay.
So I would get to the hotel for the town that we were in. He would come in from whatever live event he was at. So we would be together then like in the hotel rooms and we're traveling together. And it's definitely a lot more like just us not having to be in a million places. Like when we're home, we're home. Where when we're on the road, it's like, okay, we're in a hotel room. Can we go get Starbucks? We need to get room service. We need to get all these things. Oh my God, you need to go tan. You need to go get a haircut. Like doing all these things on the road that you're just doing to try to like survive and be ready for TV and everything. But yeah, I think it's pretty comparable, I would say. The longest time we've ever had apart was when he did the G1 and he was gone for like a month in Japan. That was weird. 'Cause I'm so used to him like being there. The most we go is like, a couple days here or there, not seeing each other, but it's never been like this like long chunk of time.
Oh, I think you go to Japan with him.
I did once. I
Okay.
did when he did Wrestle Kingdom. I did get to jump on that. So when he was doing the G1, they travel around more. So it was not that kind of a situation. And I took my ass to Canada for that. So I got to go like get my spidey senses back in Canada while he was doing his thing in Japan. But I did get to go when he was doing Wrestle Kingdom, and it was so fucking great. I was only there for like 2 days. We flew in. He was working the whole time. So I'm out like discovering Japan by myself. Or I'm like, where am I going? What am I doing? Where's Harajuku? Like had no idea what I was doing, but it was just such an amazing, an amazing travel experience to go somewhere like Japan where I never would have even imagined that I would have gone there. And then also getting this whole other perspective of wrestling in Japan and seeing what it's like to see a New Japan show like that at the Tokyo Dome and at a Wrestle Kingdom and meeting so many amazing, talented people, like seeing Will Ospreay and B. Priestley was there. I feel like there's like the people that I was like there hanging out with and like talking to, but like seeing like, Zack Sabre Jr., Okada, like seeing all of these people and really getting my finger on the pulse of like, oh, this is what Japanese wrestling looks like and feels like in all these amazing costumes. And it was just really, really cool. I loved it.
So I'm curious.
And I
because-
got to be there for Jushin Thunder Liger's final match.
Hey.
Yeah.
So
Which was huge.
you guys were together at WWE, but finding happiness in your individual lives outside of WWE, how's that helped the marriage? Because now it's like, it doesn't feel like you have to go home and complain to each other about what was going on under that house.
Damn that booking.
Well, it's true, but it's also like, as much as you can say that, I mean, everyone, we all have our shit that we talk about, but it does kind of become that common ground where we're on the same page about some of those things. So, as much as you can like talk shit about some things, whatever, but it's all, kind of in fun for the most part. With everything comes like there are different obstacles too, though, because as much as, we both have our separate happiness. He is crushing it in AEW, crushing it in all of the things that he does. Like, I mean, God, to look at what he's been able to do in the last couple of years is like really amazing.
That's your man.
Oh my God. I'm like so proud of
Crazy.
him.
Yeah.
Like to think of that time when he was just like not feeling himself, not feeling great about what he was doing and being like, I'm done, I'm going to leave, and not knowing what the future was going to hold, and to see what he's been able to do is just so damn cool. But yeah, and then on my side of things, it's like I left got pregnant, was in a pandemic, and then was like, okay, what am I going to do? Let's start doing the podcast. Let's start doing all of these things. So it's, you're still branching out and like building these things and doing work that you're proud of, but there's still times that it's like, it's grueling and it's hard and you're trying to find what that direction is. Like, it's not like I didn't leave and be like, this is the one new show I'm doing. I'm doing like a million different things. So sometimes I spread myself too thin or I've got too much going on that all of a sudden it's like, wait, what are you doing? How are you doing? We've got to like check in with each other a little bit while also juggling a baby. So it's a lot.
Baby.
Yeah.
Listen, man.
Shout out to you new parents
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah, okay.
We're hanging on.
Listen, I am a father, so my duties are change the diaper, give the baby back. It is what it is.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
But as a mother, you're juggling this and there's no not a full-time mother. Like
No.
When do you sleep? Where's sleep?
Dude, honestly, it's really tough. Like, to get like completely honest, when it's like you're trying, like all I'm trying to do is like, I have my own dreams and goals and things that I really want to do. And I don't want to lose sight of those things while also trying to be a great partner, to be a great mom, to figure out being a mom. And sometimes you have to like, and what I hate is how much of my work I end up having to be on my phone. I'm responding to emails. I'm having to tweet things. I'm having to repost things, doing all these things when I'm like, oh my God, I just want my phone out of my face so that I can be present and be with my kid and be with my husband and not have to like do all of the things. And sometimes I just feel like I am doing all of the things, but then I feel like I'm not doing any of them that well because I'm doing too many of the things. So then I've got to like pump the brakes and be like, what can I eliminate from this to create a little bit more space to be happy and be present and do those things? And it's an ongoing battle. I feel like I'm in it right now where it's like, okay, now what's the next move? Like, John and I were just talking. It's like, he's so busy doing what he's doing. I'm so busy doing what I'm doing. And like I said, we don't have like a nanny or help or anything. I was like, maybe we should start to look into that because you start to sacrifice more of yourself for your kid, as you should.
Right.
That's what it is, 100%. But also, bills need to be paid, and careers need to move on, and things can't just be at a standstill. And yeah, it's interesting because even when I was pregnant, and I'm such a doer and I go, and I take on so much. I'm like, I can handle it. It's fine. So I was like pregnant. Got to the 40 weeks and I was like doing my podcast. I was like, I just need 6 weeks off. 6 weeks should do it. Oh my God, 6 weeks off? That sounds great. Oh, wow. Do you ever need more than 6 weeks off after having a baby?
Flies by. That's 6
Holy
weeks.
shit. You take 6 weeks off. I had a C-section. I know everyone else has their own healing and all the things that they're doing, but like, your body's got to heal. You're learning to breastfeed. I don't even know any babies prior to my own baby. So I was like, what are we doing? Oh my God. Our baby's a dream. She's amazing. But yeah, it's like you're trying to figure out all these things. And I tried to set myself up for enough success to be like, okay, the show's taken care of. That's all good. But then there's this pressure of like, okay, you got to get back. You've got to be doing things. Don't take that lull.
Right.
And it's that weird pressure that like, I definitely feel it as a woman of, my career was in such a great spot, but also I want my personal life to be in this. I want to be a mom. I want to have these things. So it's really striking that balance between all those things can be a real fucking doozy.
Yeah, you say, listen, you have a daughter, so she's an angel. Wait until you have a boy. Yeah. You're like, oh, she's a dream. Little boys are madness.
See, I always feel like
Madness.
people say like little boys are like sweeter and they're calmer. Like our baby's not calm. She's a busybody like me. Like shit, I had this one coming. She's
No.
a busy baby.
Oh,
Girls are easy early, tough in the teenage years.
Okay.
Boys are crazy early,
Ugh.
super tough. I mean, super easy in their teenage years. They just want to
Okay.
play video games, play
Right.
sports. They're not going to bother you at all. But early on, they're going to break like 3 bones.
Oh,
They're going to
shit.
climb everything.
I'm dreading
like
that.
you have a husband in death matches right
Oh
now.
my
Wait till you have a
God.
toddler who's like, "Ooh, daddy jumped off of that." Like There's a door.
I was asking him about that. I was like, so how's that conversation going to go when you want it? Like when Nora asks about this or, has some kind of interest in it. And he's like, I'm just going to make it seem like it's like the lamest thing. Or he goes, I'll take her out and get her to do a couple bumps and then see how she feels. So,
No,
yeah.
that's the case of the two most extreme things. One, I don't know how John can make something like that sound lame. I don't know how.
Yeah, no.
It's impossible.
He'll find a way. He's actually, I don't know. He finds a way he's a bullshitter. He could do it.
Okay.
You would think. You would think.
So one of the things, like oral sessions, I want to get back to oral sessions real quick because
The sessions.
yeah,
Come on, Andrea.
I'm sorry.
Come on, sir.
It's all right.
Remember
Hey,
what it
we're all
was.
tired. We're all clinging on. I get it.
Yeah, so damn it.
Formerly known as, God rest its soul,
Right.
the session.
The sessions. You have taken an angle where you've turned people into humans. And I think it's something that a lot of industries aren't very good at in terms of storytelling. Did you see that lane originally? Because, yeah, of course, you're close to some of the people that you've had on, but there's some people that you've not necessarily known.
Yeah.
But it's a skill that a lot of people don't have to turn people into humans.
I don't really have an answer. I don't know what that is. I believe it's from my just genuine curiosity about people. Like when I started doing the show, I didn't even really know what it was. I was like, I don't know, let's just turn on the microphone and talk. Like, are we going to talk wrestling? Are we talking about if people got into wrestling or like all these different paths? And we do bounce around like quite a bit depending on, who's on the show and what the deal is. But yeah, I don't really know what I can like attest that to other than I think doing my best to be present and listening and having questions and no questions, a dumb question, and just trying to like unpeel that layer. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy to get people to be vulnerable and drop that guard. For sure, the people that I know already, it definitely makes it easier for me to be able to do that with. And while we're doing it through a Zoom, it can be really difficult to be like, hey, stranger, tell me about your life. It can definitely be a little bit of a weird spot to be in, but I don't know. I know that I love doing it and I love talking to people. So I don't know if that's what they're feeling on the other side, that I like being in the spot that I'm in, being able to ask all those questions. I got questions for fucking days.
I mean, a lot of people don't.
Go.
Let's be honest.
It ain't easy.
We've watched people do interviews for years, and that's like come up as a journalist. I was watching people doing interviews, like, God damn, that question's horrible.
Yeah.
Or like you sound like you're reading off a paper,
Right.
and it feels like everything that you do is so natural and
Thanks.
welcoming.
Oh, I love that.
And I
Thank
think that
you.
gets people to put on layers. That being said, who has been the toughest nut to crack on the
Ooh.
session?
God. Emilio, who do you think? Is there someone that comes to mind for you? I like asking from like his perspective because sometimes I'm like so in it. Who's like the toughest nut to crack?
Listen, you had to
Honestly,
interview people
no,
on Fox.
you know
Like,
what?
that was tough.
I'll tell you who wow, I can't talk. Who the toughest nut to crack is in an interview is my husband. It's
Go
John.
figure.
Yeah,
Really?
it's John. Because I know all of his shit. Nobody else knows very much about him. So, and that's done by design. I think that it is. So it's, it's funny. When I first sat down, I did my first episode of the show and this never aired because I was like, well, you're going to be my test dummy. Come upstairs with me and let's knock this out. It was fucking brutal. It was so bad. He's like, why are you asking me that? People have asked me that question a million times. I'm like, I don't know. Like, I thought maybe it would be interesting. I don't know. So yeah, he can be a tough one and it depends on like what mood you get him in, if he feels like if he's being talkative or not. But yeah, it's sometimes it's worse when it's somebody that you know so well that's like, okay, I know this information and it's private information. Do we want to talk about it when the mic's on? Or is that like, that's crossing the line? And now I feel like I've lost that person's trust. Not so much with John, but like if it's somebody like we've had a private conversation about something and I'm like, can I bring that up? Can we circle back to that thing? But then they're like, no, bitch, I told you that like in private. So that can be sort of a funny line to toe.
before I let Dre bring this home, you do so much. In my opinion, you've succeeded in everything you've tried, right? You've reached the pinnacle of anything you've tried. What's left? Like, what are your goals here? Like
Ooh.
you're gonna be an amazing mother. Like, it's just in
We're
the cards,
doing the
right?
damn thing. She's
Um,
cute as all hell.
but
she is.
professionally, what's left? You've done so many things. You've been, like you said, you've covered all these sports. You've done all these at a high level. You've been at the top of professional wrestling. You've now been your own boss and succeeded in every other side thing you wanted to do. What's next for you? Like, what goals are you chasing?
I think the goals that I'm chasing, for me, it'll always go back to television. Television is my love. I love that aspect of it. There's something about doing shows like this with people and having fun and broadcasting that out. I love that. I mean, I love this medium of being able to do it in the podcast space and the Sirius XM space. Like, I do love doing that. But I think getting back to television, that's really the thing that always perked my interest. From the second that I realized that I wanted to be in entertainment was, literally, I was talking to someone about this I was actually when I had RJ City on my podcast, and we were talking about Bonnie Hunt doing her daytime television show. Something like that. I mean, that's like a hell of a reference. But something like that. I mean, doing something in that space. Honestly, I see Letterman doing his show on Netflix, and that's something that I'm like, oh, I love that. Like, I love when a show can be very bare bones and just the content is good. The people are good. It doesn't have to be this new bells and whistles. Okay, well, so we're going to do this show, but the new spin on it is it's got sharks on it. And there's this. Like, I hate when there's always that need to like take a format and then like add all these other things to it. Where what I love is like really just paring things down to those basics. And especially when you're talking about interviews. I really love the way that Letterman is doing his show on Netflix. Something like that really, really talks to me.
They have Seinfeld doing it too. Like,
Yeah.
they cut you a check.
Come
Like,
on,
real
let's
real
go.
easy. Like, come on, what are they waiting for?
Yeah, something like that. I think I would really, really love. Then I look at something like what Rachel Ray does as well too, with like the cooking and doing interviews. Like, that's something I would love as well. When I first got into TV too, like I really wanted to do more of like the late night thing. Like, I loved Johnny Carson. I loved Chelsea Handler. Like when she was doing Chelsea Lately, that was a thing. That was the first thing in television that I was like, that's what I want to do. I just couldn't really figure out when I like became a TV host what that was, because I initially wanted to be an actress. So when I started, I took like that little pivot, and I've been really lucky that I've worked ever since. Like, as soon as I started like hosting and, kind of connecting the dots on that, it's been great. But yeah, I think what Chelsea Lately did, a show like that just doesn't really, I don't know that it works anymore. But yeah, something in that kind of a space is definitely what I would love to.
To be
check
fair,
out.
Trevor Noah does that's like the Daily Show. Like,
Yeah.
it still works. Like, they just
Yeah.
change like
I-
mediums, right? Like,
for
you got to
sure.
do it on like
Those
a
shows do
streaming
work.
platform, kind of,
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
normal television. Like, no one's going to Channel 3 or
No.
like anything.
No.
Like,
Those
right?
just,
Like,
yeah.
but-
And I guess that's kind of the thing too, is like television has changed so much that that's why, like, yeah, I mean, I think Letterman really is like the perfect example of that, of taking a show and turning it into this new version. We're so used to seeing him on the late night show to now seeing him on Netflix. Everyone uses Anthony Bourdain as a reference as well too. I mean, who doesn't want to do what Anthony Bourdain was able to do? But really, it's about having fun, and that's the stuff that I got into this line of work to have fun. And when I wasn't having fun, I stopped doing it and moved on to doing something else. So that's just kind of the thing that I keep in mind with every project.
So to take this home, I don't even have a question. It's giving you your flowers.
Oh, Andreas, don't.
I'm going to. I have to.
Can't cry.
Because
Shit.
considering what you have accomplished, and considering the person that I heard you were before I met you, and the person that you are after I've met you, you're an amazing individual.
Thank you.
But not only that, it's something that me being a father and having a daughter, I want her to watch you.
Oh my God.
It's serious. Because the things that you are doing is peeling back layers of people, that's storytelling. You've been in all these mediums. And it never, when I'm in your presence, it's never, I was doing raw commentary. Or it's not that. You are who you are. And who you are is an amazing individual and a mother. And it's like, I wanted to tell you on this show how much I appreciate you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. I mean, God, to think of like, that's the thing. That really is the thing. For you to want your daughter to want to watch me. And when I first started doing any of this stuff, that's not something I really thought about. I was, kind of selfishly just being like, oh, these are the things that I want to do and blah, blah, blah. And then you start to realize the effects of that and, being able to be a role model for other young girls, for young boys, for whoever. And God, me having a daughter now as well. That was like literally the second I found out I was having a daughter and I was like, oh my gosh, now to like raise this woman, this little girl into a woman in this like crazy world and trying to like teach someone to be a good person and to just navigate things the way that they do. But yeah, that means the world to me for you to say that. I really appreciate it.
Look, we all have our things. We all mess up from time to time in our lives. But being parents, now that we're all parents, it's like we have bigger things, bigger fish to fry. But I think
Yes.
for you, because I was raised off of a television,
Mhm.
and the things that I saw on television inspired me to do what I wanted to do. But now I know the people that do these things, and I can tell my daughter, it's like, you should watch her. Because not only is she amazing on the TV, she's amazing off the TV.
Ugh, I love that. That's the best. That's like really the best compliment that you can give somebody. So thank you. I really, really love that.
Damn it to hell, you earned it.
Mm.
And all that to say, like, after all this, and Kelly, you can bring us home, but it's just like, can't wait to have you back.
Yes.
Because you left too damn soon. and
I
we
know.
Gotta get our kids together.
Yeah.
And I need to taste some of your cooking.
You're damn right you do.
Yeah.
Well,
I'll take
here's
a
the thing
plate.
though. I mean, I miss having I gotta get my like smoker out here, and that's when we like really get into it.
Oh, now you
Get
getting
some,
fancy.
That was like my big pandemic purchase where I was like, I'm getting a smoker. Let's do this. And I've just been like, let's roll up the sleeves. And what are these ribs I'm doing? Let's do a brisket. Let's get
Taking like 13 hours. like
I love a process. I love it. You know what? I think that's actually probably why I'm not cooking so much now. Because I don't have time to just like fuck around the kitchen anymore.
Yeah.
Before it's like, let's have a little glass of wine. Let's let this thing simmer. Let's do this thing. And now I'm like, I'm eating to survive.
You gotta chug the wine.
Where's the protein? Somebody throw me a vegetable. Oh my God.
No, thank
It's
you
crazy.
so much, Renee. You are just amazing. Again, not just one of the best women in the field. Like, you are one of the best in general
Thank you.
in this field of pro wrestling and further. Like, you are amazing at what you do. We appreciate you taking time out. Everyone, check out the sessions.
Yeah.
It's well worth the listen, well worth your time. If you've never listened to it, go on there, binge it all. Like,
Binge it.
every interview is incredible. Renee is the best. We appreciate you so much. We appreciate all of you guys for listening. Shout out to Blue Wire Studios here in the Wynn Resort.
Shout out.
Thank you, producer Cole, baby.
Yeah, baby.
Got Sparks in the booth. It's always great to have
Of
Sparks
course, you
here
know he was going to
as
work his
well.
way back there.
Can't help himself.
Make sure you guys follow us on social media at Corner Podcast _ on Twitter, at Corner Club for Life on Instagram. Check out our YouTube at The Corner Podcast. Find this interview and all our other interviews from this weekend as well. Huge wrestling weekend here in Vegas. We appreciate you all. Till next time, though, we're out.
Peace.
Deuces.